So we're out here today collecting sap. We never came out yesterday. We cut wood yesterday, and as you can see, we almost filled this tote up. So we're gonna have quite a bit more sap to boil down. I'm just about out of sap at home, so we'll go ahead and we'll pump this off. One thing I tried to figure out a remedy for my barrels collapsing and loosening up my straps. So what I ended up doing here, I think this will work out a lot better, is I just made like a manifold here, and each barrel will be filled and emptied separately by just doing these valves. So I think that's going to work out a lot better. I won't have the issues of collapsing. Here I just have the shut-offs, just these squeeze clamps. They're for like milk hose. That's how they clamp them off when you're milking a cow, or I use them when we milk goats. So that'll just shut the air off and they can't splash out of there when we're going. So for right now, we're gonna leave all that open, and this is the same one that I had before here. But so to start with, I'm just gonna leave all those valves open, and then as the barrels fill up, whichever one fills up first, I'll shut that valve off. So, and it'll be the same way up above. We will, I gotta get my ends. So when we go up above, it'll be the same way up there. Is I'll leave them all open, and then as they empty, then we go ahead and shut them. So we had, I guess we have this loose up here, and that way it can suck air, because we did have that before that it started collapsing the side of that, because the only way to suck air into this tote is from all the way at the top. Leaking a little bit there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and try our new way. Well, I guess I won't know about the collapsing until we actually start taking the sap out of there, so. Down here. You know, before when I had that little electric pump, it didn't go down anywhere near as fast as that. So we can empty one of these pretty quickly. So it's not real cold, but you can hear the sap running in there if I'm quiet long enough. So we got all the barrels filled up. We're gonna take it up top and go ahead and unload into the other one. There's still quite a bit in this one. We'll have to see whether we have to come back tomorrow to get this right away in the morning, because I don't know. We only brought 2 empty totes with us to take sap back, and by looking down at the other 2 totes that are down that way, those are not quite as full as this one, but I think we're gonna end up with they'll probably be close to 600 or 700 gallons here today, and we can only take 500 home with us and 150 on the Kubota. But like, again, I don't know about all that weight on the truck, so we'll just have to see how it turns out. Okay, so we got it all hooked up here. ready to unload, so we can try out and see how this actually works about the collapsing. I want to open up the manifold and then open up each one of these. That way it can start emptying them all right away. Maybe I don't want to do that because it's going to actually siphon that way. So I'll get this pumping up first. So what Aiden and I decided, we're not going to be able to get all the sap today to fit on the trailer with only 2 totes. So we decided, since this one isn't being filled like it's every other day now that we're collecting sap, so we know now that these trees on this line will just barely fill this tote even in 2 days. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this tote out, and then we'll be able to take 3 totes of sap home today. That way we'll have it all at home, and I can get it in the shade so it's not sitting in the sun. So we're going to go ahead and swap this out. I have to take this the T off, the lid off of this one, stick it on here so we don't have the T up here. That way, if it would get filled, instead of overflowing this tank, it'll just back up in the line, which isn't good, but at least we're not going to waste a bunch of sap that way. So we're going to go ahead, pull this one out, take it up to the top, and we can fill this one after the other 2 are filled. So this doesn't weigh a whole lot. We got it strapped on. You know, it sticks out quite a bit, but empty. They're probably only maybe 75 pounds. Hopefully we'll make it up to the top. We figured we'd take it on this trip because that one didn't fill this top barrel all the way up. So we got a little bit less weight on here to begin with. Otherwise, when we come back for that one and this one, it'll probably fill all these barrels, so it'll be too much weight to try to take this up then. So we're just going to take it up now, throw it on the truck. We'll fill the 2 barrels that are there in front of it, and then we can go ahead and slide this one closer and fill this one too. So we're going to head up and see you at the top. So it's pretty slippery through here, especially with, you know, 1,000 pounds of weight on the back of this. So this is a different path than what we came down, because that path is really muddy. And this one will probably get as muddy as that one, but it's not that muddy right now. So So if you heard that loud bang, that was just a tote falling out of the back of the Kubota. We got it back in, strapped it a different direction, and it should stay in now. But I don't even remember what I was saying before. Maybe just about the mud and how we'll have to get down in here with the skid steer once it dries up a little bit, and we can fill in all these ruts. So we went ahead and the manifold works good. The totes aren't collapsing anymore. And we brought the other tote up from down below so we can get all the sap home today. What we're doing is we're going to set this one on the back to offset the weight a little bit, because like I said before, if we end up filling both of those, that's over 4,500 pounds. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we get this one full with the next bring up. We'll fill this one up completely, and that'll kind of put weight behind the tires, which is going to offset all the weight that's on the truck. So we're going to have quite a bit of sap today, and we're going to go down and hopefully we can make it back up with 2 more trips out of the mud down there, and we're going to go ahead and give that a try. So it's getting kind of late and we're still pulling off or trying to empty totes, getting them to home. And the sap is now running again, because what happens, what makes the sap run, I didn't mention this before, but when the sun hits the tree, it starts to expand and swell, and when it hits the bark, and that draws up kind of like if you squeeze a sponge and then let it out, that's what sucks the sap from the roots that's stored all winter long, and it takes it up to actually start feeding the trees or the leaves to make the trees bud out. But then when it gets cold at night again, that bark starts to contract again, and then that's what forces the sap back down into the roots. So that's where, when I say that the sap is flowing, that's what it's doing, is it's going up and down according to the weather. So for sap to run, you need cold nights below freezing to shrink the bark up and shrink the tree, the wood, to squeeze the sap back out. And then you can catch it in your tap as it's going back out. Then in the morning when the sun comes up, the bark starts to swell, wakes up from the heat hitting the bark, and then that sucks the sap back up. When maple syrup season is over, the sap in the tree runs, well, it doesn't run quite as much in the summer, but it still moves. But what happens is like even the trees at home already, I couldn't tap those trees because once they start to bud, once they all get their buds, it keeps the sugar up in the tree in order to make the leaf. So the sugar stays up, and then just like the starches come up and down. So you won't get that sweet sap any other time. So once these trees start budding, we'll quit tapping. And like at home, I said, those trees, they're kind of alone. We only have like 2 or 3 trees in the yard. So it warms up there quicker. The ground thaws out quicker there because it doesn't have tree coverage to keep it from getting hot. So the sun will warm it up more, and then it stays up longer, because once the ground warms up and it doesn't drop down during the day as much, it doesn't flow up and down like it does. Or it flows a little, but the sugars stay up in the leaves, in the buds. So I'm going to keep going because it's getting late. We're going to end up not making it home before dark, so I got to open all these up. So I know it's really dark right now, but we're sitting right by a tote, and you can hear how fast it's running in there now that it's getting colder tonight. The sap's coming back down. So we just got done collecting sap. It's about 8 o'clock at night. It's pretty dark already. We ended up getting like 650 gallons. It's a 2-day. We didn't come yesterday. We cut wood yesterday and didn't collect. So this is the most sap we've gotten so far in a 2-day period. So I think it was a pretty good collection. It's gonna be about 3 days of boiling to get this boiled down, and so we're gonna head on home, and thanks for watching.